Hey guys, it's Vinny. I just want to say what a career Julian Edelman had. I am so fortunate to say that I got a chance to watch this guy play. And he really had the makings, everything about him, just an unlikely career to even happen. Taken in the 7th round as a wide receiver by the Patriots. He went on to take over the mantle that Wes Welker had as the main slot guy for Tom Brady. And he was in a fantastic return man as well. Several thousand yards, I recall like total of like couple thousand return yards if I'm not mistaken. And also, as a receiver, yes, I know people are going to mention that he doesn't have any Pro Bowls, but you could argue, like in 2016, for instance, or maybe even one other year, I'm not escaping me, that you could argue that he did deserve to make the Pro Bowl. Keep in mind, the Pro Bowl is 1/3 fans, 1/3 players, 1/3 coaches and executives. So, for instance, even that year, LeGarrette Blount, despite the fact that he led the league in touchdowns, didn't even make the Pro Bowl. So keep that in mind when you're evaluating greatness. And also, speaking of greatness, I always find it funny how these people always mention the greatest performers when it comes to the clutch. Wes Welker is amazing. I hope he makes the Hall of Fame one day because he was that outstanding in how he redefined the receiver position. But Julian Edelman did that for the playoffs. This guy was able to become second all-time in playoff receiving yards, surpassing the likes of people like Cliff Branch and Larry Fitzgerald. The only guy that has more is Jerry Rice. And in order to get to Jerry Rice's number, you had to be in the stratosphere. That's way up there. It was near unreachable. But the fact that he was second all-time receiving yards was pretty remarkable. We've all seen his great plays in the playoffs. Like, for instance, when he threw that touchdown pass in that game against the Ravens, his heroic catch in the Super Bowl against the Falcons, and of course, his Super Bowl MVP performance in the Super Bowl against the Rams in Super Bowl 53. Yes, I know he did not have any touchdowns, but he was named the MVP regardless. He had the most amount of yards from the Patriots in that game. He deserved the award. He got the award. End of story. If or buts, doesn't matter. People say the same thing like, oh, maybe Justin Tuck deserved. He didn't get it, okay? He didn't get it. As simple as that. Eli Manning got it. Tough. Same thing. Julian Edelman got the Super Bowl 53 MVP award. And ever since he got that, I always kept thinking in the back of my mind, will Julian Edelman make the Pro Football Hall of Fame? I know there has been lots of discussions on Twitter. People that are in favor of it like it, but the ones that don't want it are very, very, very hostile towards the other person. Like, very hostile, and I honestly don't like that. I know a few people that have been like that, and I'm not going to say, but chill out a little bit, please. Edelman, I think, deserves a look for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, yes. Do I personally want him? Not before many other names. I think Wes Welker, his teammate, deserves to get more attention considering he did the league in receptions several times. And for instance, there's many guys already. Like, if you just look at the modern era, you have Torrey Holt not in. You have, Henry Ellard still not in yet. Hines Ward's been a semifinalist several times. Calvin Johnson finally made in his first year of eligibility. And then, you also have Andre Johnson coming up. Larry Fitzgerald is eventually going to retire. He will be up there. You also have, Reggie Wayne, who's been a finalist the last couple of years. You had Chad Johnson, who hasn't even been a semifinalist yet. And then you look at the senior section. You have Laverne Dilwig, back from the 1920s. He's not in. Harold Jackson had all the major achievements, all the major statistics, yards, touchdowns, and receptions of the 1970s, and he's not in. Art Powell, of course, Raiders legend of the AFL. And don't forget Cliff Branch, Raiders legend from the 70s and the 80s. He had the playoff receiving record before Jerry Rice broke it, and he's not in yet. Or even Isaac Curtis, that's another name I've seen floating around. Although we did get 2 wide receivers in Calvin Johnson and Drew Pearson this year, there's still a lot ways to go. There's still many receivers that many people want, and even ones that are not as talked about that do deserve some mention. And that to me is the biggest reason why I don't think Edelman's going to make it for a long time. That's to me the biggest reason. Not even because of how much of a quality player he was. It's because so many years the voters have ignored the wide receiver position and they focused instead. I'm not saying these people aren't notable, but they focus instead on the positions that they remember growing up instead of receiver, because even though the wide receiver was amazing, even at that time, it was always focused that the running back was a star. And that's a big reason why many guards haven't been in yet, like, Walt Sweeney, for instance. And, I'm just saying, but we got to keep pushing for it. You got to keep pushing for him. We got to keep pushing for Fallas and Trask and all these other notable names. And Branch, I mean, I love Edelman, but even though it's senior, you can't tell me that he was better than Branch. Branch, he was the guy that always there day in and day out, especially when the playoffs came. So I understand the arguments against Edelman. I understand he was on a team that had some quality Hall of Famers, Brady, Melton, Kraft, obviously, Ty Law, Richard Seymour was early on, but then you also have Rob Gronkowski, Vince Wilfork, you can even argue Matt Slater or Steven Gostkowski, some quality players. And I think Edelman is just a bit a part of that whole Patriots run, especially in the 2010s, as much as a Gronkowski, as much as a McCourty, as much as a Matt Slater, even more so in the playoffs. I mean, outside of Brady, you maybe say Dante Hightower, but for me, for most people, it's usually Julian Edelman for a player that we look at as someone who really was the ultimate game changer besides Brady come, those Super Bowls in the 2010s. And that to me is why I believe he deserves recognition and consideration. Do I personally want him? For me, I honestly don't really care either way. There's people I would like to see more. With me, I think the main reason is that there's more guys I want before him. And I understand there might be some people that don't like that, but that's okay. Just chill out a little bit. It's fine. There's many people I want that are not in. And there's people, that's fine. And I do want to see him get attention because, Jim Plunkett has gotten a lot of attention for being a 2-time Super Bowl winner with the Raiders. Edelman deserves that as well, considering that you can't have those playoffs without him. And I know that a lot of people talk about the regular season, but at the same time, these are also the same people that always beat you down if you don't do well in the playoffs. So not many people do both. So which is it, guys? I understand the answer is both, but you're also the ones that say, postseason matters the most. So pick your poison. So I'd say, every player is different. Every person is different. Everyone's contribution is different. And I believe that, Edelman does deserve at least some consideration. And yes, before anyone asks, yes, there is the PED stuff, but keep in mind there were some other players that did PEDs too. Like Antonio Gates, for instance, did PEDs, and no one mentions that because he played for the Chargers. But because he played for the Patriots, a team that's been accused of cheating, of course they're going to mention it. But chill out. Let's not go into details about that. I mean, other team players did PEDs too, and you think it was just Edelman? Come on. And even then, sometimes the forearms and hamstrings can be done for his knees. We don't know the full story of that. I mean, the guy tore his ACL in 2017, so perhaps that could have been a reason, but we don't know. We got to ask him that. I mean, I don't want to make assumptions here. If you guys want to make assumptions, be my guest, but I'd say, pump the brakes a little bit. So anyway, guys, that's my thoughts on Julian Edelman. Again, wonderful career. I know he's at least going to make the team's Ring of Honor, the team's Hall of Fame. But will that be enough to make him in the actual Hall of Fame? I think you need to wait for other receivers to make it too. And, with the increased demand of getting more guys in from fans, I hope, it does lead to more consideration down the road. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening. Like this video, subscribe to Zenny62 Media, turn the notification bell on to get notified for videos sooner. I'll catch you guys again, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.